Welcome to Scrum for Small Business, where we use real Scrum practices to help real small businesses build systems, improve transparency, and grow without the chaos. Last week, Africana International made a huge leap forward by selecting a new backend vendor. The vendor, fortunately, brought their own timeline for setup and training. But this week, we're talking about something just as important, a major increment for Africana International. It may not look like a back end system, but for this business, it's revenue critical, capturing their first recipe.
As product owner, I can't stress this enough. Our recipes aren't just nice to have. They are the foundation of one of our revenue streams. If our Akara recipe isn't captured, consistent, and repeatable, we risk disappointing customers and losing sales. So here's what we did. I printed out an Akara recipe I found online. My mom sat down with us, red pen in hand, and we marked it up together. She crossed out what didn't belong, changed measurements, adjusted times, and made sure this recipe reflected the real way we prepare Akara at Africana International. It took just 15 minutes, but it was powerful. When we were done, we had a version that represents our family's knowledge locked in for the future. We then uploaded the photos to ChatGPT, which turned them into a clean digital document. Finally, we saved it in a Google Drive folder called Recipes. That's now our single source of truth. So yes, this was a major increment because for us, recipes equal revenue, and this step ensures that every batch of Akara tastes the same every time.
Well done, Enny. As Scrum Master, I wanted to make sure this was treated with the respect it deserves. Some people might think it's just a recipe, but in Scrum, what counts as a major increment depends entirely on what delivers value to the business. For Africana International, this is a core value. Here's how Scrum showed up in the process. 1. Transparency was created when the printed recipe was laid out and marked up with edits everyone could see. 2. Inspection happened as the business reviewed each ingredient and cooking step against lived experience. 3. Adaptation happened when we translated the red pen notes into a clean digital version stored in Google Drive. The outcome? A consistent, repeatable Akara recipe that directly supports sales and customer satisfaction. That's not small. That's a major win.
As an agile coach, I want to pause and underline this point. Increments look different in every business. For a software team, it might be a working feature. For a retail business, it might be a new clothing line introduced. For a recruiting company, it might be a new interviewing process. But for Africana International, an increment can be a recipe because recipes drive revenue. This is why Scrum is so powerful. It doesn't matter if you're building apps or selling food, the same principles apply. You define your value, you deliver it incrementally, and you celebrate progress. Africana International now has their first recipe saved, digitized, and ready to scale. That's not small, that's transformational. All right, we've got our first recipe increment, and it's one that drives real revenue. Next week, we'll circle back to the vendor journey, diving into configuration, testing, and how the family is preparing to fully offboard their old system. But today's lesson is very clear. Respect the increment, because what counts as major progress depends on the value it delivers. and at Africana International, recipes are at the heart of growth. All right, well, that is it for this week. We will see you again next week. But remember, when it comes to Scrum, transparency is how we see, inspection is how we learn, and adaptation is how we grow. Keep seeing, keep learning, and keep growing. Until next time.